You unlock this benefit with the key of Patreon. Beyond is another dimension. A dimension of thought. A dimension of speculation. A dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both waffle and substance. Of things and ideas. You've just crossed into the podcast zone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Julian and I doing our Twilight Zone talks, because that's not real. There's no sparkling vampires here. And we are continuing a journey into the Twilight Zone, and we have reached the episode, I Shot an Arrow into the Air. And so we're going to sort of start with there. We're going to carry on, no preamble, let's get into it. So Julian, what are your thoughts on this episode?
I think this is a pretty good episode. It's another one of the sort of like surprise they're on Earth episodes, but and it's kind of a morality play, but I think it works. What about you?
Yeah, it was all right. There's something in this episode that bothers me. It bothers me with quite a few things. I like the morality side of it. I think the reveal's a little iffy.
Mm-hmm.
And it may be just coming from a modern lens. This idea of he walks and walks and walks and then finds out he's in Nevada and he's like, we never left Earth. I'm like, well, why did you think you had? Like, what in your technology sort of thought you would? Because they think they're on an asteroid. I'm like, well, how much time do you think has passed? Because they're like, you crashed. I'm sorry, it all feels a bit. Yeah, it's this thing. It's this thing with the Twilight Zone as well, that they think asteroids have got breathable atmospheres as well. It's sort of.
And we've seen that before, and we'll see that again.
Yes.
But I also found myself wondering, like, really, you haven't seen like life anywhere? I mean, if you've ever been in the desert, you see, flowers and you see, little bugs in cave water and stuff. I also found myself thinking, like, the villain, what's his name, Corey, is so damn mean. Like, it's like, how did you let this guy on board? He's obviously a sociopath.
That was one of the problems. Well, there's two problems I have with the show. It's first, like, he's clearly not suitable to be on this mission. And the other thing is, though, I'm not entirely sure he's not wrong. He's not wrong. So the basic premise is they crash, and there's three of them that are able to sort of to move on, and there's at least one of the others that is sort of, well, he dies, but they're still giving him water. And the colonel is sort of the one guy in command. Is like, well, whilst they're still alive, if they're thirsty, they get water. And the guys, and this Corey's saying, like, well, there's three of us, and the more you give them, the less we're going to have. And it's this sort of we constantly say things like sacrifice the few to save the many. This sort of the utilitarian philosophy of, like, well, it makes total sense. Yes, you've got to sacrifice those so that we can survive, or at least attempt to survive. But then you get this sort of like Western hero complex of, like, no, I've got to try and save everybody. Unfortunately, in pop culture, it usually works out that way. They sort of save the day. But in this situation, I was thinking the same. I'm like, look, if the guy's gonna die, like, very soon, make him comfortable as much as you can. But, like, you've got to conserve all of it. Am I coming across at the villain all of a sudden? I don't know.
No.
But
I agree with you. My problem is that Corey has these conversations like, he's not gonna drink my water. He's like, that man's gonna die, and he's having this conversation over the person dying. Like, take your commander, 30 yards to the side before you say this stuff under your breath. And most commanders would probably get it. And if they don't, they're just a pop culture stock commander guy, as you said.
Yeah.
But the other problem that I have with that is that how much water did they have? It's not a lot, right? I forget how many.
5 gallons, he says. I've got 5 gallons.
5 gallons. And it's going to be like 4 years at least until they can launch another rocket ship. You're dead anyway, unless you find water. And that's another problem where he kills the two guys at the end.
Yeah.
It's next to a little creek.
Yes. Yeah. Well, one of the things, the more I think on this episode, the more I think sort of like the reveal just highlights how poorly put together this mission was. Because they're like, that's 4 years building. Took them 4 years to build that rocket. Yeah, and it crashed instantly back into Earth. So they clearly needed longer. I don't know. It was there's parts of it that are good. I like the confrontation towards the end when it's the three of them, and they do find the one he may or may not have bludgeoned to.
Oh, he did. He killed Pearson.
Yeah, clearly. And then he kills the colonel and stuff. So I like that, and then I like there's a I kind of like that. Then it comes with this voiceover of Rod Serling, just sort of like basically like railing on this character. He's like, "Yes, keep walking. That's right. It's hot, isn't it? You prick. Like, keep walking." I'm like,
make tracks, Mr. Corey.
Yeah, and it's sort of like angry Rod Serling at the end. He's sort of like he seems annoyed with him, but yeah. It's an interesting one. It's fine. It's good, and there's some good acting in it. I kind of enjoyed it, but again, it's one of those that when he gets to the end and he gets that Nevada sign, I'm like, oh no, well this guy's clearly in a lot of trouble then.
Yeah,
because he's going to have to explain how
his commanding officer is riddled with bullets.
Yeah, exactly. What happened here? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Pearson must have shot him.
I found myself wondering about that too. And I mean, it would almost be better if like it were framed by his court martial or something, you know? But then Corey would be more sympathetic, you know, as you sort of investigate his guilt. And he does seem to have guilt. I mean, he is so merciless, but when he sees, I do like the gimmick with the telephone poles. But I don't see why he decides to climb that mountain. What, you know, if he is like, yeah, whatever, I'm just going to kill as many people so I have all the water. Why do you, I mean, if you think there was something we're seeing up there, why not just go up there with your commanding officer? I mean, how much water is Donlin, the CEO, going to drink going up a single mountain? And it doesn't matter anyway because he shoots the canteen, which is kind of a nice touch. But then he's so psychopathic about it. He's like, oh, what? He doesn't even say anything. He just throws it away.
It becomes like a non-moment, doesn't it? He sort of picks up. You see the hole in the canteen, and then he throws it aside. Yeah, I was a bit like, no, there should be some. He should be angry about this or frustrated or something. Like there should be some payoff for this. This is what it's been about the whole time.
I killed Donlin for nothing. Nothing.
Yeah. The other thing is, a lot of them have been, you know, they've had like a sci-fi twist. This is sort of, or at least, or even a supernatural twist or something. Like this one, the twist is, no, they just made a cock up. The twist doesn't seem to be, even that last one. You know, what was it? The fours are going to die, or whatever. It's the way they find. You know, you find out they're actually from an alien world and they're traveling to Earth. There's none of this sort of like reveal of it being a different planet or anything like that. It's sort of like, oh no, we never left Earth. It feels like a bit of a, it's quite an anticlimax. At least I feel for the sort of the reveal.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're thinking of, I think, Third from the Sun.
That's it. Sorry,
yeah. The four of us are dying is the shape-changing thing.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I do feel like that's one of those classic sci-fi Serling twists of, you know, aha, it's really on Earth, which when you think about it, that's the ending of Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, you've had talking apes.
Yeah.
So
where are my talking apes? That's what this episode is missing.
That's it. I want my Dr. Zaius. That was it. It was sort of like it had that ending where I'm like, you know, oh, you got lost. That's it. Like, you know, it's the morality tale was fine. I could center on the morality tale, but a lot of the story framing felt weak to me. Felt a bit short.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that there are a bunch of just sort of like logical holes. I mean, I even wonder, like, I like the telephone pole thing, but clearly you're alive and you can scratch 3 lines. Why not write out Earth if you can't talk? I mean, you know, there's a bunch of that just seems odd, and Corey does seem so one note until the end.
Yeah, and even in 1959, like, you know, there would have been planes flying over the desert, commercial airplanes going into Nevada and stuff. So yeah,
yeah. I mean, you'd think that your instrumentation would have been, you know, it is hard to imagine that you can't tell the difference between an asteroid and Earth.
Yeah, and this is it. Like you say, it's almost like the Prometheus problem of like we are the best the world has to offer to send into space, but you're also incredibly bad at all your jobs. Like, um. So yeah, it's there's not much to say about it. That's the thing. It's sort of it feels like this is set up for the twist. Like there's a lot of
Yeah.
walking in this episode. Like there's more walking. There's probably more walking in this 25-minute episode than there is in the whole of Lord of the Rings. Like it goes on.
No, no, nothing is as bad as the Lord of the Rings movies, you know.
um,
No,
but
I
yeah,
mean, we're talking about a 20-minute episode, and like, look, I mean, a lot of the Twilight Zone stuff. I mean, it is not as compact as most modern storytelling is. But I mean, I like the shots of them walking and
mm,
the heat, and it's kind of funny them. I mean, the twist pretty early, right? So I think that's part of the failing of that twist is that it doesn't take long to really work this out. And so you find yourself saying like okay, so it's got our sun. They even talk about like navigating by the stars. So what happened when you look up at that stars? You'd
yeah,
probably figure out pretty quickly, like, this looks a lot like Earth. And
mm,
also, they go through like a day or two. They certainly go through one night. Um, okay, so the days and nights are 24 hours long total.
yes,
Maybe that should be a clue.
yeah. And I was also, I know, they make a point of how hot it is. That's the thing of how thirsty he is all the time. And I think that they're trying to make this thing of like it's the atmosphere. And even at night, they can oh, it's so hot. Yeah, it can be, but like I've been. I travelled through Nevada and I've travelled through New Mexico and stuff. Like I've been out in the middle of the summer, in the middle of the middle of nowhere. The temperature drops.
Yeah.
Like
No, at night is actually colder than it is
yeah,
in the
oh yeah,
city.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So because there's nothing to hold the heat, so the temperature
Yeah.
drops quite dramatically. So when he's like night going, yeah, I'm still really hot, and I'm going like, no, this doesn't. It just didn't ring true, and that was the
Mhm.
problem with this thing. It felt like and like you say, you see spiders or scorpions or snakes or like foxes or something. There's life there, um, and so yeah. If you're honest, I think this is probably for me the weakest episode we've had, or at least one of the weakest episodes we've had so far.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's got a rocket ship, it's got people dying, and it's got a twist ending that they're on Earth. I'm relatively happy, and it's got a moral through line that even if it's not my favorite and it's cliched or whatever, you know, uh, it's okay. I mean, yes, I get that it's a pop culture cliche, but
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I would just say before you start killing and cannibalizing people when you land on the desert island, make sure it's not the Florida Keys first. You
Yeah.
know?
Oh yeah. There's a version of this where like Corey comes over that hill and he's like, yeah, he's chewing on Pearson's leg. Like this. He's like, oh right, wait. Oh no, there's a Wendy's over there. Oh, that's disappointing. Um, yeah, yeah. It's again, it's fine. It's the timing as well. Like this is one of the first episodes as well where I thought like 20 minutes felt a little long for it. Like it kept going. Um, but yeah, I shot an arrow into the air is an episode of the Twilight Zone. That's the best I'm going to say about it.
One final thought. The title kind of gives it away. Like the spaceship is named like the Arrow One,
Yeah.
but the whole point is that, sort of limerick of, or that poem, right? That, and where it landed, I know not where, right? Well, right. Where the Arrow One landed is the entire
Mm,
twist. So, if you know the title, like it
yeah.
kind of gives away the ending.
Well, even back at thingy, like you get these two guys back at the oh, yeah, they're sort of like mission control, and they're like, it disappeared. It just disappeared. And I'm just like, how? All I can think of is how bad is your technology? Like, even in '59, like there were black boxes. There was, there was sort of like missions were going up. Like we were tracking stuff across the planet as it fell to Earth. So Yeah, it's conveniences and contrivances to try and make this twist work. And it's a bit of a reach too far for me. But anyway, okay, so that's it. That was I Shot an Arrow into the Air. That's that episode. So we shall keep moving on. Let's see if if I any happier with the next episode. We shall see. I think Julian, you were quite satisfied with this one, but let's move on as always. Thank you very much for supporting the show. I hope you're enjoying our trek through the Twilight Zone. Any final thoughts, Julian, before we move on?
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. We'll see you on the next episode.